Hey besties, it's Tina,
Karen, and Jules here.
Tools down, time to chat work, life, well-being, and relationships. You're listening to
Let's Take It Offline.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Let's Take It Offline podcast. It's TT here with you today. Today we're talking about budgeting and saving and, making sure that we get through this financial storm together. I know it might not be the best or the sexiest topic, but hopefully by the end of this episode, you will find some inspiration and maybe start to fall in love a little with your financial life. So we know that at the moment, there's just so much news around, financial crisis and economies crashing down, stock market fluctuations. And today we want to share with you 5 key tips or 5 key actions that you can take to make sure that you are going to get through this situation in hopefully a better place. Before we start, make sure that you give us a follow, rate our show, and also leave us some comments on Instagram as to what topics you want to hear next on the podcast. Just want to call out though that this is by no means financial advice. We're not professionals here, but we just want to share some of the things that have been working for us and our friends, and hopefully that will help you too. Before we start, let's just do a quick check-in. How is your week going, Jules? I
have had an awesome week. As you can probably see, I'm way more tanner than when you last saw me, perhaps, because I went on holiday to a friend's wedding in Malaysia. I've actually never been to Malaysia, so it was my first time. Went to Penang, went to Langkawi. It was beautiful. Very, very beautiful part of the world that I've not seen. So I'm really glad that I've now been able to tick off Malaysia off of my Asia list, because I am from Southeast Asia, and how have I not been to Malaysia? What about you, KP?
I have not been on a holiday like you. Still glowing from it. I've been doing something that's actually quite topical. Being roped into doing some house renos.
Oh,
DIY style.
That doesn't sound fun.
Wall painting the walls to save money. Not save money, but like rather than getting a professional in, because it's just a touch-up job at home to kind of get a new feel with the place. And I think that actually DIYing just became super popular during COVID too. So,
well, tradies are really hard to book for one,
yeah.
And they are, some of them are absolute extortionists. So
especially with the cost of materials
yes.
rising as well.
Yeah.
It's becoming more and more expensive to get material supplies, and then obviously the labor costs involved with getting someone into. So DIY is the way to go. Weekly Bunnings trips is where
I love Bunnings.
I love painting though. It's very it's one of those tasks where you just like mindlessly do it, and it's quite meditative.
Yeah,
you have a bit of space to think.
Yeah, it is. So yeah, but not when it's in like 30-degree heat.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
I prefer a different type of painting. I prefer more, like artistry painting as opposed to wall painting. But anyway, TT, what about you?
Well, speaking of painting, I actually signed up for a drawing course.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's just
oh my God, I should come.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
But it's in one night though. Would you make it?
Well, I come
6
to your house anyway.
Yeah, do come.
Yeah.
Basically, one of the things that I want to do in 2023 is really exploring my creativity side.
Yeah.
And I feel like my day job is quite, not dry necessarily, it's just a lot more structured and, like a lot of driving things forward. And sometimes just want to slow down and do something a bit fun and creative. So that is starting soon. I'm so excited.
Yeah. When's it start? I need to check your schedule, but is it life drawing? What is it?
No, so this is drawing essentials. Well, I know what Jules is in.
That's why Jules wants to come.
But I'm starting from the very basic, so I'm actually going for like the fundamental like drawing essentials, and then my next thing I want to do is like painting with oil and acrylic. So
okay, yeah. I've done that like in my earlier days, but
Yeah.
life drawing is definitely an experience if you haven't done it.
I don't know. I don't know if I can ever do like detailed
You
drawing.
know what? If you whenever you get married and have a hens, I know exactly what we're gonna do.
Actually, it's quite fun because I did it at uni and I did it as one of my electives. And at first it's a little bit uncomfortable, but you get used to it.
Yeah, the whole point is that I feel like I'm quite perfectionist in a lot of ways, and I often don't want to start something, but I think with the creative process, you just go for it and see what happens. So that's part of it. And then more on a serious note, and maybe segue to this week's episode as well, is I've been working with my broker to refinance my mortgage.
Nice.
Yeah. And, you know, with lots of talks about interest rate rising and things like that. So I thought it's just a good idea to do it. But hey, we do have 5 key tips or 5 key things that you can action today to help you make your money go further. KP, did you want to talk about the first one? Because I feel like this is your like domain of expertise.
Yeah. Number one, and I think that if you listen to any podcast about finance and stuff, this always comes up, which is budgeting.
Yeah.
But we want to talk about budgeting as in not just simply like looking at setting yourself a budget like I can only spend $100 this week. It's like just some of the tips and tricks for you to set up a system for yourself so that you don't have to be worried and watching the dollar every minute because you've already got an engine and a system set up for yourself. So budgeting is number one. And firstly, like, we want to talk about this system of budgeting, and there's lots of different schools of thought to do it. The one that I started to do and took a more simplified version of it was through Scott Pape's like Barefoot Investor. I've read several ways of how you can budget, but I really liked his concept of having buckets. Having the one that I recall is number one, having a fire extinguisher, which is a long-term savings account that you consistently put money into to save for a rainy day in case you need to use this fire extinguisher. So whether like heaven forbid like your house burns down, you need
hopefully you have home
Insurance.
content insurance.
you have home and contents insurance, but in the meantime you have something like a fire extinguisher to put there, or if you come across like if your family is having a crisis and you need it, that's something available. And then a splurge bucket,
My favorite.
which is splurge, which is for the items such as like you might want to splurge on a really nice dinner out with friends or family, or you want to buy that big TV that you've been wanting to have for a while. You have like a splurge bucket where once again you're splitting your monthly salary into certain percentages. So like around like 30% goes into your fire extinguisher, 20% goes into your splurge, and then you have your essentials, which is maybe 50% of your spend for just basic necessities, which is like rent, bills, utilities, eating regularly, groceries, and all that. So he has a much more complex system, and I highly recommend to read it. But once you have that engine set up, so every month I've already created rules in my bank account so I don't see my salary come in, and it just automatically gets siphoned off into all the different buckets that I have. So I don't have the 3 buckets like fire extinguisher, spending, splurge. I have it specific for me. So instead of like a splurge account, I actually have a holiday savings account. Like I'm trying to save it for a holiday at the end of the year, so I consistently put something in, or like I siphon it off into like investments or mortgage or anything like that. But that's the way that I have set it up for myself. So I don't have to think about whether I have money, and that's one way I do it. I know TT, you've read the book too, so you've probably got a system you've set up for yourself.
I think it was at the beginning of 2020, right after New Year's. I was like, I really need to get my financials like in order, and I bought the book and I took myself to a cafe and had a little date with myself, and I literally like highlighted everything, and then I ordered my ING card, because if you've read the book, you know that, you know, ING card at that point was like the best bank that you could go with for interest rates and, you know, setting up the systems and things like that, which, you know, you don't have to be with ING, but sometimes I look at someone with an orange card, I'm like, yeah, you know. But I think
it's like you're part of the movement.
Yeah, it's just like creating that excitement about like sitting down with yourself, or with a partner, with a friend, or someone like that you can be accountability partners with, and just review that regularly. And we talked about this beforehand, like there are some budgeting apps out there that you can use, like Frollo, or Pocketbook, which they don't really exist anymore, but there's something about like sometimes just typing out all of the expenses, categorize it in an Excel spreadsheet, and then that helps you like reviewing all of your transactions as well. Because recently I was looking through my bank statements and I was just like browsing through the app, and I saw a very weird like transaction to go to Libara phone recharge. I was like, I don't have Libara. Like, how is there like a $29 transaction on my card? And then I called up ING, talked to them, they were super helpful, and then they were like, oh, we'll review this transaction for you. And then I realized, because they asked me to verify some detail on the card, I went to look for the card and I realized the card was not there anymore in my wallet. So at some point in time, I might have like dropped my card somewhere. And, you know, someone picked it up and decided to use it to recharge their Libara account.
Oh, wow.
And with that, if I didn't look at my transactions, I would never have realized, and they might have gone on to like spend on a bunch of other things. So, you know, like it's very important to go through your transactions on a regular basis, so you know what sort of money is going in and out of your account.
Doing like an audit on your finances, I think, is really important, because you catch those things. Like I had a similar story, but like my card wasn't stolen. It was just I forgot about a certain subscription that I had, and it started charging me money.
Someone told me recently that they got charged double for Amazon Prime because they signed up for Amazon Prime in Australia, and somehow the US. They also got charged for US membership as well. And all in all, like they got charged like $600 in excess.
It's crazy.
You know, they got a refund from Amazon, but at the same time, like if you don't look at your transactions, sometimes you might miss out on a few intricate or like weird transactions.
And the budgeting apps that like you just touched on, they're really clever now. Like they use a lot of because of open banking, obviously in Australia, but I think in several other countries around the world too, that these apps actually scrape or pull open banking data from all your accounts, and it can actually track and categorize all your expenses for you as well, so you know how much you're spending your money on.
The biggest buckets.
The biggest buckets as
and
well.
it does it automatically too, which is such a time saver, because I remember when Pocketbook first launched, you had to go and
define your categories.
And some of those were in miscellaneous, so you wanted them to go to maybe utilities or whatever, right? I love that they can automatically do it now. It's so much more convenient.
It's really good. And they send you notifications when you have hit a certain limit on a particular bucket, so you can set limits as well. Some banks have fantastic apps to actually track spend, and that's another way to do it. I've got another one that I learned in business school though. For those that are more old school, that don't want to use the apps and don't want to like share their data like that, Excel is another great way to do it. But just like how a company would build their own balance sheet, profit and loss statement, cash flow statement, I do the exact same for myself. I build my own personal balance sheet to track what my net assets are, and then I do a cash flow statement just to see how liquid I am as well, and to be very honest with yourself.
I know, right?
And be very honest. Like if you are saying, oh, I only eat like out like 5 times a week maybe, but in reality maybe you eat out like all your lunches you buy from work, like when you're out at work, or like you eat dinner out a lot. So be honest with yourself in terms of like how much you actually spend. And you can find a lot of these Excel spreadsheets online from from people that have done this before. So I recommend starting there.
Yeah, I use one as well. So we'll put it into the show notes. It's actually from the Money Smart website. And it's actually a really good, intricate one. You can build your own cash flow, balance sheet, etc. So take a look. In terms of where I've been focusing on, like because of obviously this state of the economy at the moment, is actually looking at how do I reduce cost of living? What are the key things that I could do to review being really intricate on my grocery bill, because it's so easy to go into Coles and come out $300 later.
100%.
$300.
I know.
Yeah, what are you buying?
Well, air fryer. That's the thing is I go aisle by aisle. It's really bad. So what I'm doing now is I'm writing a specific list in terms of, okay, what do I need? I'm out of green tea. I'm out of sugar. 3 types of different meals I want to eat this week for lunch, for dinner, whatever. And then I have 2 opportunities to either order Uber Eats or go out for dinner with my partner. But just being more prepared in terms of what you're going to do for the week around meal prepping and groceries, because it's so easy. It's I call it the Kmart effect. The same thing goes with Coles. You walk in, you come out.
It's because they deliberately designed the shopping like layout to increase the size of the basket.
Totally.
And I remember reading somewhere where all the fresh fruit where you actually typically need to buy is all along the perimeter, and all the processed things are in the aisles, but they design it very purposely to have all the fresh food as soon as you enter, but then all the toilet paper at the end, or eggs and milk.
Because they designed the store in a way that like the necessary items that you need to get, like milk, eggs, toilet paper, at the back of the store, and so you kind of have to walk through the store and see a bunch of like temptations, like chocolates and all the items on promotion before you get to the necessary items. And the other thing as well, when you buy any item at all, like one of the tricks that I learned throughout the year through marketing, like in uni as well, is that when an item is at your eye level, is never the cheapest item, because they pay an amount of money to place the product there, right at the easiest, most convenient part of the shelf. So if you want to go for a bit of a bargain or like similar item but home brand or a cheaper brand, then maybe look down, look up, whatever. Just don't grab the easiest thing you can see, right? Like a few cents here and there might not make a lot of difference right now, but over the long term it will help you and it will accumulate.
I also read that like they put things adults want at adult eye level and what kids want at kids level.
I know.
So if you have a kid,
That's
maybe
so
like
evil.
they're trying to grab that like toy that's on like the second bottom level.
Maybe put them in like the trolley instead of letting them walk around.
or like on your shoulders.
Easy to say when you don't have children.
Smart marketing.
The other thing also is on lowering the cost of your grocery bill is buy seasonal. It's like don't buy that 100%. Like $5 avocado in like winter, or like go for something that is seasonal, and you'll see when it's seasonal it's usually cheaper.
And don't overlook the frozen section as well. Like recently I've really enjoyed buying like frozen berries and frozen mangoes and put them in my smoothies, and they're like $5 for a big bag, and it would go a much longer way than getting fresh. And a lot of time the quality is awesome because they harvest and then they freeze them when they're the freshest. So
my other tactic is avoidance. So
and don't go shopping when you're hungry.
Yes.
Don't go shopping when you're hungry.
Just or when I'm bored, I'm like, I'll just go to Coles or just go to Kmart. But what I do now is I actually do it online. So I'm very specific with 100%. What I'm buying. I've got my list. And then, there's all the sale items as well, right? So I'll go through all the sale items, go through to see, because when you just search the items, the sale ones pop up too. So you can just go for the cheaper options, and it tells you if you're buying fruit, like how much you're spending per fruit. So it actually, for me, saves me a lot of time because you can get it delivered. B, you're more purposeful in terms of what you buy, and you're not blowing out your budget as well. And then my second piece is, if you're gonna go and buy things at the store, take a basket instead of a trolley.
That's
because
if you can't
if you can't hold it, then you won't buy it. 50 days.
It's so true. And one of the best things about COVID is click and collect.
Oh, yeah.
Because now if I need something from IKEA or Kmart, I would just put in my order and then go and collect it instead of walking through the store and then being
So
tempted
true.
by so many
Once again,
items
it's like
that I
IKEA
didn't
makes
even
you
need.
walk through the entire store.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Entire store.
Okay, we love IKEA.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, they're just like psychological tricks that
Yeah.
Yes.
you can do to help yourself there.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't buy my groceries online. Like I'm the type that wants to like pick out
Tactile.
my fruit. I want to
Yes.
see the avocado that I'm about to buy.
Making sure it's super ripe. Yeah.
Not like hard avocado. Oh my God,
Yeah.
hard avocado is the
So
worst.
grocery is one thing, and then utilities and bills, right? So I read this trick years ago, and I still do it every year now. Whenever for example, insurance, like when my yearly renewal comes up, I'll actually call the company and say, hey, I've been with you guys for X number of years. I've got all of my policies with home content, car with you guys. What can you do for me? And I think I've sort of like looked at it now over the last few years, and I think they wouldn't give it to you every year, but maybe every second year they'll give you a discount. So then at least like my premium doesn't go up.
Yeah.
But then another tactic as well. So the first one is based on your loyalty to a company.
Yeah.
But then the second one is that you might want to shop around and change things up and go with another provider. Most of the local government or state government actually now have a website to help you compare rates of energy.
Yeah.
So make sure that you use those resources to get the best deal that you can out of these providers, and you can shop around as well, because they always want new business, right?
Yeah.
And then there's two angles to it. The first one is like if you come to them with new business, they will always want to give you a really good deal to get you on board. And then another angle is that, you know, the cost of acquisition for a new customer will be higher than just giving an existing customer a discount to keep them on. So make sure that you do a bit of homework before you pay your annual bills, and make sure you don't just do a direct debit.
Yeah, and it's a really good point, TT, because a lot of people stick to convenience. I've got my insurance company with XYZ. I don't need to review it. I like to review mine and compare probably every couple of years, 2 years. I think a year is probably too much. Depends on how much time you have and what kind of cadences you put in your calendar. But I always tend to review, like, let's say electricity every time I move. And my electricity provider is really good. If I pay on time, they always give me a really good discount.
Yeah.
It's when I pay late, it's like, you know, the actual amount. So so I set up a direct debit, which means I get, you know, $50 or $60 off every single quarter for my electricity bill. And then when I move again, because I'm renting, I'll then typically review, you know, who's got the best rates. The rates usually are the same. It's just more what are the perks they're giving you. Sometimes there's, you know, rewards that you get. Like, for example, my Bupa, they have what you call life rewards, where you get like 25% off
yeah.
Hoyts.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get 50 vouchers per year. And I've just booked some tickets to go see Avatar with my partner tonight.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
it's just little hacks like that just
Yeah.
helps from a lifestyle savings point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of the like insurance companies or utilities, I think that they're trying to make their product and service better these days. So there are a lot of like added benefits
Yeah.
to explore when you're like picking out your provider.
Yeah.
The other thing also is when you're looking at, I think, like basic utilities, it's good to actually compare against the market, like take a look at how much, do your research around how much you should be spending as a single individual, as a sink or as like a dink.
Yeah, I know.
Do some research into like the market comparisons so that you have like a benchmark that you know is comparable as well.
And I think with utilities as well, like one is probably not so much to do with financials, but more like I picked my providers. Like I use Belong Internet because they're carbon neutral. They're the first like provider in Australia that's carbon neutral. And then I pick Red Energy because they are, you know, renewable source energy. But yeah, it just like things that you I guess you just don't want to automatically renew year on year without looking at the perks, looking at whether their values align with you, with yours, and what discount they can give to you. Yeah. What about big ticket items like mortgage? I'm going through the process right now, and I was with a bank for quite a few years, and I decided to, you know, break up with them because I went to my mortgage broker, and she's someone that I really trust, and she always, like, I introduced her to KP as well and some other friends. So it's very important to make sure that you have a good team of people around you, whether it's accountants, whether it's mortgage brokers, financial advisors. And a lot of the time, like when you use those services, remember that you can actually claim them back on tax deductions as well.
Yeah. I think that the mortgage one is interesting because we went through such a hype cycle with property.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are where the interest rates were ridiculously low set by like the Reserve Bank. And now they're rising because inflation is increasing. So a lot of people are thinking about what to do with their mortgage, and it's really worthwhile talking to finding someone to talk to that's a professional, because not only do you want to potentially refinance to get yourself a better rate, but even thinking about what structure is right for you. Do you want to do
fixed or variable,
or do you want to do a like fixed or variable, or you could go fully fixed, fully variable, or a combination of fixed and variable,
and like whether you have an offset account or redraw facility.
And then also to consider whether you want to pay principal and interest or interest only, depending on your situation.
And some of them have really good cashback programs as well. So if you switch to them, well, I mean, it's nothing compared to like a 30-year mortgage, but at least you get like a hit of cash straight away. So something else to think about. But let's talk about number 3, which is some tips around a very exciting topic, shopping. Which we all love.
I have a whole, TikTok and Instagram dedicated to shopping. So absolutely,
we'll link her in the show note if you want some extra, tips on getting affordable items for every day.
Yeah, I think with a lot of the big ticket items is...
What would you define as a big ticket item, Jules?
A couch,
TV,
a TV,
furniture.
Yeah, like just luxury goods in general. Big ticket could even be, I don't know, maybe a nice handbag. Like that potentially could be big ticket for you because that's something that you've invested and saved in, and that's something you really want, right? I would say anything above 2K is big ticket. Even 1,500, I would say. But just wait for the sales.
Yeah.
That's why there's, Singles Day, there's Black Friday sales.
End of financial year.
Click frenzies. There's all these different times of the year that have... 50, 40% off. I suggest waiting because most of the time, even if you're waiting for the new items, typically, if you want to save a little bit of cash, the model below, there's usually not that many changes. Let's say it's a TV. The model below has exactly all the same
last
features.
season.
Yeah. So you don't really need to have the latest one.
Yeah.
Right?
I think on the topic of big ticket items, the other place that I am a big fan of is Marketplace.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, Facebook Marketplace for those that haven't used it yet. But
Gumtree, eBay,
eBay. Like I have found some absolute gold on Marketplace where I'll just share like a lot of my items in my house have been like upcycled because I'm a big believer in reducing waste. But for example, I was looking for a new couch and it wasn't on sale, but I went on Marketplace and the exact same couch was on there for half the price.
Yeah.
And the guy that I bought it off, he bought the couch to stage his apartment for
Right.
sale.
Right.
So the
Wow.
couch was less than a
That's
month
next
old.
level.
Yeah.
But
So-
there's a lot of that, like good, like a lot of those good finds. Like I know a friend in the past, like found a listing for someone who won a car from a draw. And then she was moving overseas, so she needed to sell the car. And so my friend drove all the way to Foster to pick up the car, but it was brand new. And she got it
Yeah.
as the deal, you know?
cheaper. There's so many good finds on there, even like brand name stuff like your coffee table drawers.
Oh
You
my!
found
Oh,
on
I
Market.
forgot about my coffee table because
Yeah.
I've had it for so long. But it's actually a marble Freedom Furniture table. It was
Wow.
like $1,200, brand new, and I actually bought it because I've been waiting for the sales all year, and it was never on sale.
And how much was the RRP, the recommend retail price?
$1,200.
And you bought it for-
I found it on Marketplace
Yeah.
for $300 secondhand.
Oh, wow.
The lady had used it maybe 12 months ago, but then she moved house, so she wanted to upgrade to
Yeah.
probably just redecorate as well.
Yeah.
And so I drove out to DY in a Go-Get, and the Go-Get cost me like $20, $30, right? And I just popped this marble table. It was like something ridiculous, 150 kilos.
Oh my God.
Because it's real marble. So I had a bit of help at the time, and I saved myself, like
$900.
$900.
Yeah.
Wow.
How crazy is
Okay.
that? And it's in mint condition.
Yeah, it's there are some solid finds on Marketplace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just Facebook Marketplace or eBay and Gumtree. There's some very specific ones for clothing as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
These girls know that I've been on a bit of a Depop frenzy at the moment. So
Yeah.
I love just listing like all items and also finding quality items. But, I've been worn once or twice. And then just like go from there. And I don't know, it feels good to be part of the circular economy too. Like you're actually not just buying brand new items all the time, but you're also looking for good finds. And then when I really want to buy like a really good luxury item, because I'm all about building my capsule wardrobe now. So if I really want something out of like a really good brand, then I'll always keep an eye out for the sales on Net-a-Porter. Maybe it's like one season behind, but it's a quality basic item, so never go out of style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's another way of looking at it too. And then if you have like a big event coming up, could be a wedding, someone's birthday, instead of buying a dress, you can actually rent a dress now as well, or you can buy secondhand and then rent it to other people, and then once you're done with it, just sell it on Depop or Poshmark. So it's a good way of saving you some money, and then you always have something new to wear instead of just buy one item, wear it once, and then not sure what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to talk about one thing I've done recently that, and I'm completely ad-libbing here, but it's more of a female necessity item. It is sustainable. It, obviously saving the environment, and goes to probably a little bit around budgeting as well, is you guys have probably seen the new period underwear.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've used it, but I've only recently tried it, and it's actually really good. You probably need maybe, I don't know, anywhere from 8 to 10 pairs, so obviously you can wash them, etc., for your next cycle. But it's a great way to reduce waste, like pads and tampons in the landfill.
Yeah.
And also cost savings, and you don't have to, you're
Yeah.
reusing these undies for however long.
Or
you
period
need to.
cups, yeah.
Yeah.
Period cups as well. I think the undies are less invasive than period cups, and I've tried period cups. It's not for me, but it's just it actually works, by the way. And you just buy different ones for the type of flow that you have. I'm a believer. I like it. I've tried it probably only this month, and yeah, really enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. So a few interesting tips there. I guess you can be Bougie on a budget, and get yourself some nice things as well while not breaking the bank. And I think especially when there's so much uncertainty in the market, sometimes it could feel quite stressful to think about financial stuff, but you can turn it into something quite exciting. So if you can maybe put together a little bit of, if you've got your eyes on an item and it goes on sale, you can buy it, get the whole experience of unboxing it, and enjoy that experience, because you don't want to necessarily go on a big like fancy trip or anything.
Yeah, so I think that the 3 that we talked about were more touching on like necessities. Right.
Yeah,
Budgeting.
and some fun items.
Yeah,
Yep.
and now we're going to talk about the fun stuff.
Oh,
Okay.
this is what I'm so excited about. Like, oh,
What like some of the hacks that we probably do that is not leaving money on the table is kind of what we call this category of.
yeah.
And the first one is if you're lucky and you're with a great company.
Yeah.
A lot of companies these days do this, but really maximize the perks that they give you at work. And we'll talk about like some of those. Like I think one of the most basic ones is private health insurance.
Yeah.
Right. I think that heavily subsidized private health is fantastic. That is worthwhile looking into, and you can save a ton of money going with private health insurance. And not only can you get it for yourself, but there are packages to put your family on the work private health insurance program too. So for anyone that has family or a de facto partner that you want to do this, parents, you can't.
No.
Because I tried. And they said no.
Yeah.
I tried, but they said no. Not parents, but like immediate family and next of kin.
Have you thought about maybe putting on your dating profile that, you know, it comes with private health benefits?
I think that they would need to
put a ring on it.
Put a ring on it to
of
share
course.
my private health insurance with me.
Yeah, so that's a great point, but like making sure that you read through, like if there's like an internal portal or in your like internal website where they list all of the perks, just make sure that you really maximize it and do not leave any money on the table. Like every month I will expend my like phone bill, my internet bill. We do have really great like reimbursements for like skin checks, for example. I got that done. We've got education reimbursement, and like I'm aware that we're very lucky in that way, but I'm sure there are a lot of perks that people are not maximizing at the moment just because they don't take the time to read through what's available to them, and just make sure that you get all of that money back because it's cash, right?
Yeah, the other big one is the EAPP, the Employee Assistance Program one. Really, a lot of companies I think would have it now. And if you're in therapy, you can actually go via that program if your therapist is registered to it to get discounted therapy.
And then the share program at work as well. Like I know that we don't have that at my current workplace, but my previous workplace, you can actually choose to have up to 15% of your monthly pay going towards purchasing the company stock at a 10% discount. So you're already making like 10% off of the market value. So something to really think about. Right?
And that's usually for if you work for a company that's publicly listed. Typically private don't have a lot of those perks. However, they do have other perks available.
Like ESOP, right?
Or an extensive partnering discount program. So if they've got a list of clients, they might offer 20% off Samsung or like 15% off Apple. Like there are those discount programs as well. So you've got access to discount all year round.
One other thing, I think it's silly, but at the same time, during summer when it's really hot, I try to go into the office as much as possible because there's free air conditioning. I don't want to pay for extra electricity for my fan. And also, when you're not at home, always make sure that you turn off all the switches because that's where your energy is leaking. And that's like, I think they did like some sort of like study and they find that 15% of your like monthly electricity or energy bill is leaking through those switches being left on.
Just on that, we segue there. Another thing that I've done recently is on lighting is I just have ambient light at home. So lamps or strip lighting. I never really turn on the ceiling large halogen ones. I just have ambient lighting, and that saves on electricity. But I've done the aircon one. I've also done the water one at the gym. I was like, I'm gonna just save on water tonight and shower at the gym.
Yeah.
Ladies,
And
ladies, don't
free
forget
coffee and tea.
Candles.
I was gonna say, like
Yes.
the ultimate mood lighting,
Yes.
having candlelit dinner by yourself,
We're really going back in
and
time.
while having a finance date with yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Actually, on the taking yourself out on a date, I really learned that from someone like Scott Pape, obviously from
Yeah.
the Barefoot Invest. So take yourself out on a finance date, but to do this on a regular basis, like go and buy yourself a nice dinner, bring a notepad with
Yes.
you, go off your phone, and write down like what your finance goals are or
Yeah.
your life goals are as well. I learned this from someone, and
Yes.
and I personally find it really hard to
Sit down
at a
home.
restaurant
Yeah.
by myself.
Yes.
A candlelit dinner by myself.
Yeah.
At home sounds pretty good. And
Totally.
on energy.
You make it like
Totally.
an exciting thing, so then you fall in love. You know, like it's all about romanticizing every part of your life, and
Hey.
part of it is sitting down, having a day with yourself, making budgeting sexy and exciting.
Try new things, right? Like, just why not? If you
Yeah.
haven't done it before and you feel uncomfortable, then give it a go. I
Yeah.
personally will probably just do a candlelit dinner with my partner rather than alone, and then he can sit there and watch me do my budgeting journal.
you can do it together. Like that's
Yeah.
one of
Exactly.
the things
That's one of the things from Barefoot Investor.
yeah.
Do it together.
we're
Make it
part-
fun.
We sound like we're part of the
The
cult.
yeah. Actually, I haven't read it, so and
Scott would be
it sounds
proud.
great. One of the other things that we probably missed was, and maybe it's only at my work, there's not many places that actually do it, but we'll have an episode on fertility anyway. But my work actually covers, if you're going through
Yeah.
IVF, if
Yeah.
you're going through just even a discovery to understand your body better,
Yeah.
all the tests, they partner with a company called Carrot. And Carrot basically allows you to, it depends on the company, but you
Yeah.
get X amount to spend as a once off. That's
Yeah.
it. It's not there every year for you to use, but you can use it to do your tests, to go through IVF, to do the ultrasound and all that sort of stuff
Yeah,
as
wow.
well.
That's
And that
cool.
covers you and your partner,
Yeah.
but majority of this, the coverage is really for the female tests and what you're going to go through, whether it's
Yeah.
embryo or egg freezing or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's a great work perk.
Yeah, it's
I
pretty
think
cool.
that you're very lucky to have that.
Yeah. So we've covered like a fair bit of work perks and maybe reimbursements that you can get, like also like from the government as well. Like, sometimes there are reimbursements around like little things like when you pay for e-tag when you go through tunnels and things like that, like, or motorways, that
Yeah.
some of them actually provide like a reimbursement of some sort. So make sure that you look into those little things. But what about cashback and loyalty programs?
I love cashback. Shopback's what I use, and there's a whole bunch out
Cash
there.
Yeah,
rewards,
I use
cash
cash
rewards.
rewards and I actually have about $100 sitting in my cash rewards
Yeah.
account at the moment, and it's so easy that all that you need to do is to download their Chrome extension,
Yeah.
and then or you can shop via their app, and then when you do that, then they track your transactions,
Yeah.
and then they give you a percentage back off your purchase. It's
Yeah.
like
It's
free
really
money.
good.
Well,
The
not
other-
free money, but
Yeah. The other thing is also I recently discovered that with cash rewards you can link your credit card so that every time you're in
Oh,
store
you double dip as
and
well.
it's not double
Ooh.
dip, but it tracks it. So,
Right.
So if you're not shopping online, but you're shopping in store with that
Gotcha.
credit card, it'll just link back to your.
Oh, that's
cash
awesome.
rewards account.
Okay, I need to look
So-
into. I just looked at my cash rewards. I've got
Yeah.
$143.
I don't personally use Afterpay or like some of them like buy now pay later, but I believe there's some good perks there as well too.
Yeah, I my point of view on that one is I'm not a big fan of a form of like
Lay-by, really.
lay-by or credit card
Yeah.
debt. I think that I think it's great for cash flow. Like if you're
Yes.
buying a big ticket item,
Yeah.
you can split it over several quarters.
Yep.
But I think that if you
can't afford it
can't
twice
afford
over.
to twice over,
Yeah.
you really should
Not buy.
think twice about using
But-
that.
It also affects your credit rating.
Yeah.
If you're not paying it back.
Yeah.
I mean, they make it really simple because
Yeah.
it just gets direct debited out of your account, so you don't need to think about it.
Yeah.
But if there's, say, for example, there's no money in that
Yeah.
account, it really affects your credit. So just be
Yeah.
careful
Yeah.
and mindful using. I think PayPal does one too now.
They do, yeah. But some of the, like, I know my friends who are super savvy and super like meticulous about their finances, they would do it for the reward points.
Yeah.
And I think think it's worth it, but I'm just not that organized enough.
I think that's the second hack is I'm a big fan of credit card points. So I have it to firstly earn points, earn bonus points. A lot of people are really into credit card churning. So every quarter, they'll get a new credit card to get the bonus points. It's a bit too much work for myself, but I know that it works. And if you are really passionate about points hacking, that could be something for you. But credit cards are also, I really like it because it helps me with cash flow. So I can, I'm like liquid all the time with the with the credit card, but once again, I pay it off in full every month. There is nothing worse than, I think, paying interest on your credit card. So I'd recommend doing it if you can actually pay it off and have sustainable debt.
And most banks will allow you to set your minimum payment per month anyway. So you can set that regular payment to your credit card account.
I don't even think about the minimum. I'm whatever I spend on there because I use it for my disposable income.
But sometimes it's set and forget, right? So people might be able to just set that, and then they don't have to. At least they can avoid like the minimum repayment.
You can have it as part of that the budgeting system we talked about at the beginning. Is you set the rules. The rules are you pay off your credit card with every month. It's an automatic redraw from it. So that's really good. The other thing that I came across recently that I learned from a friend on points and loyalty, but because groceries is such a essential, they purchase gift cards. They purchase Woolworths gift cards, Coles gift cards at through like cash rewards or some other discount program, so they get like a 5 or 10% off. So they pay like $90 for $100 gift card. It's like, it's in the grand scheme of things, you think it's like not a lot, but that's another way you could save money as well. So
I do it through, so I'm trying to rack up Qantas points so that I can have some free travel next year. And it's actually really good because I think I got 120,000 points and I'll probably get a new credit card, next year. But essentially I use it for all of my necessities. So your bill, your electricity bill, your insurance, so that you're getting all the points, but B, you're paying everything on time and everything's just direct debited. And because I pay all of my bills on time, I get that percentage back, as I mentioned earlier. So that's another tip too, is if you can put all of your necessities on there, but as KP says, make sure you pay it off because you don't want interest on your credit card. And I'm one of those people that used to have about 4 different credit cards and I couldn't pay it all off when I was younger. And I don't know why the banks used to do it to 20-year-olds where you're first out of uni and they give you 10 grand and it's like, well, you don't even have a full-time job yet. Why are they giving you all this money?
They want to sign you on for life, right?
Exactly.
Because people don't tend to then look at other banks or other cards that will give them more perks.
But you got to be very careful because you don't want a limit that's too much. You just want a limit that is there, and just have a strategy behind your credit card.
That I was in a really similar situation. I think at some point I had like 5 credit cards and I was like, what is going on? Like,
balance transfer.
All these leaky buckets. But the other thing is like the limit on your credit card really affects your credit rating.
Yes.
As well. So I recommend this is what I did for myself is every time I started a new credit card recently, and I think that the limit was like $60,000.
Oh my goodness.
Jesus.
And I was like, what am I going to buy? A car. My car.
You could put down like a down payment for an apartment.
Almost. But like the first thing I did was actually reset that limit all the way down to 10K. I was so tempted to even bring it down to 5K.
Because if some by chance you end up losing your card like I did, not knowing, then someone could go and do some real damage, and it would be really hard for you to claim all that money back with the bank. Right. The other thing as well, in terms of like not leaving money on the table, is we briefly touched on like the circular economy and selling stuff in marketplace, but I learned about this recently that when you donate clothing to San Vinny's or some of the op shops, only 5% of them actually get recycled and get sold in shops.
That's terrible.
And then the rest of them just get dumped into like landfill or like another country, which is not great. So instead of now like donating without thinking what I'm donating. I'm actually going through things, decluttering, and also, you know, then list items onto Depop, for example. And it's such a good dopamine hit. I know it's cheap, but at the same time, like whenever I get someone buying an item, I feel so good. And I'm like, you know what, this is actually something you can do to just like get a bit of money back on items that you bought in the past, and then that helps me as well now to build my next like capsule wardrobe, because then I'm decluttering everything in the wardrobe.
And like in the end, like how much did you actually pay for that dress that you wore twice?
Oh yeah, so like I recently sold a dress for $80. I bought it on sale for like 110.
Yeah.
So I pretty much like cost of wear for that dress was like $30.
Yeah.
Pretty
I guess
good.
I wore
So
it
good.
once. Yeah.
Pretty good. And look, I'm absolutely a believer of, you know, any platform out there to resell your items to either circulate the economy or sustainability, but also for a little bit of cash back.
Yeah.
I sold my leather couch that I purchased, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years ago, and I barely sat on it. It was in mint condition. I bought it for $1,800 or $1,900, and I sold it for $800 after 4 or 5 years, which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
And look, I'm in the process of decluttering, so I'm literally just looking for things around the house that I think can be repurposed by somebody else.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's $100. I sold my Xbox for $150.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Whatever you can find at home that you think that you're not actually using, and if you think about the whole Maria Kondo concept, is if you haven't used it or touched it in 6 months, you're probably not going to, so sell it.
And then I know people who actually go out to vintage stores, buy items, and then on sale or resale online for a margin as well. So that's another way of making a bit of extra cash, which, you know, goes back to the side hustle conversation.
Just on the circular economy, for those that like live in an apartment block or something, I live in an apartment block that is actually a really good community. We have a Facebook page as well, but we have like a communal area.
Yeah.
And people, when they're moving out or if they have excess things, they will put it on the table in our foyer, and it's a free-for-all.
I love that.
Yeah, I think that if you live in an apartment block and you want to start that, you can create a Facebook page for the complex, and have like a communal area, because I have like picked up and given away some amazing things on there. Like when I first moved in, I really needed clothing hangers. And literally 2 days later, someone was moving out and there was a huge bag of clothing hangers.
The universe heard you.
The universe heard me. Yeah, exactly. And then and we post it on Facebook as well all the time. Like if we're giving away something for free. Someone picked up a mirror the other day. I gave away a bunch of flowers because I was going away for a couple of days. And I said, whoever wants these flowers can come and grab them. I went upstairs and came back down. They were gone in 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What about larger items? Because my old building, it used to be near like the recycle bins where, you know, you've got a big bookcase you want to leave for other people to take.
Yeah. So same thing. They will actually post on Facebook to say, I'm selling this. But the other thing is, I went over to a friend's place who lived in another complex that had a specific area for large items, and it's usually, unfortunately, close to the bin room or an elevator. I picked up the most amazing large mirror. There, completely brand new.
And if you live on the, you know, like if you live in Bondi, Bronte, that area, you notice that a lot of people put stuff out on the street. And I guess, like, I don't do it often, but, you know, I probably should do it more. But like on the days where they organize council pickup, people start putting out lots of stuff. And if you are like looking for certain items, so if you're like moving in the process of like transitioning, you know, apartments, and you just need something for the meantime, you can kind of go and raid, what people put out there. I can't guarantee the quality, but I know people have picked up like amazing like crockeries and you know, things like that that people just don't need when they move to a new place, for example. So don't leave money on the table.
That's why,
or
like,
on the ground.
In my foyer there's always boxes of chocolate open. There was like a box of Lindt chocolates today. There was a box of favorites yesterday. Like there's always something.
Or maybe someone's trying to like bait you.
Yeah, the calories. The other thing is, don't forget Facebook Marketplace. I know I keep talking about Facebook, and I'm like pretty close to deleting my
Not
Facebook
sponsored
as
by
well.
Meta.
But there's a lot of free giveaway groups in particular suburbs you can join.
Yeah.
So if, like, you know, KP says,
Yeah,
someone's
sales
moving
swap.
out. That's
Yeah.
right. Swap, or even just, hey, I'm giving this away for free. Like, come and collect it by tomorrow because I'm moving out. A lot of people will turn up because, you know, people are always trolling through Marketplace to find stuff for free as well.
Yeah.
Plants is a good one.
Plants.
You get free plants because I
Yeah.
love plants and I love
Yeah.
to just take them and propagate them,
Yeah.
etc.
And give them forward. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can tell that we're very passionate about this topic, and we can maybe chat about this for hours on end.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good hit of like dopamine when you get one
like
of these
good
things, like
deal.
I'm winning at life,
I
you know, like
know.
little things. But maybe it's time for us to move on to our last number 5, but also our last sort of like item to talk about, which is, you know, all of these things, how we put everything together and make them sustainable habits, right? Little things can go a long way, especially in this current climate. So I want to ask you both, what would be the 1 or 2 things that you would do in terms of your habits this year to help you with your budgeting and saving?
I have to, not a have to, it's an absolute must do, because it's the worst habit I have is ordering Uber Eats.
Oh my God, I'm the same.
I have a subscription to Uber Eats,
Oh,
the
yeah.
the $10.99 I think it is
Oh,
per
wow.
month.
Uber One?
Yeah, because Uber One, that's right, because the amount that I spend on deliveries, it's actually cheaper for me to just pay the monthly subscription. So I have such good food near me that it's literally, I can't stop. I'm like, I'm hungry, and
You might have to move into the mountains.
I need to. I just need to be further away.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
you're
my...
right. Like if you really order Uber Eats like twice a week or a few times a month,
Way more.
then
Way
it's
more.
definitely worth like
Yes.
getting the membership. But I think one of the challenges I want to do for myself this year is to not order Uber Eats at all, and just, you know, like either always have like something in the fridge that I can make for myself, or save it for a special occasion to go out and eat a meal.
So that was me last year. So I set myself that goal for this year. So I actually haven't used Uber Eats to
Much.
order dinner for myself, for unless I'm like with friends and it's like, let's order Uber Eats. But
You're really good at that.
yeah,
because
because-
I kept asking her, should we hang out and just get Uber Eats? And she's like, nah, I'm gonna cook.
yeah,
She's really
I
good.
I think it's also I learned how to
Yeah.
You learn how to cook.
I learned how to cook,
And you-
and it's not to cook to survive. I actually learned how to cook.
Yeah.
And it's cute to have like dinner parties with your friends.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
we were talking about this. We might do like a rotation. So
Yeah.
we cook
Yeah.
at someone's house and then we move to the next. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think bulk cooking and cooking something you enjoy to eat and freeze is really important. Like learning how to cook is a really good basic skill, but I also sometimes invite those that live around me to come and eat dinner if I've done like a big cook, and vice versa. I'll go over to theirs, and that's the way that we save money too, if we're living like close to each other.
I have to say, while you're talking about cooking, the other thing that I've loved in terms of like food savings is my rice cooker. I know I had to invest in that rice cooker, but because it cooks rice and every little thing you can find in the house so simply, you just chuck it all in. You know, sausages, rice, whatever, chuck everything in and then just leave it for 15, 20 minutes and it's done.
And I guess it's,
This is like the title for our podcast episode. I love my rice cooker.
I love my rice cooker.
and it goes for you know, one pot meals as well. You can make a pasta, you know, with chicken,
In the rice
spinach.
cooker?
No, in a pot.
Well, you can do it in the rice cooker.
Yeah, if you don't have a rice cooker, don't go out there and buy a rice cooker because Jules said it. just use your pot and make a one pot meal.
I started doing no spend days. So for example, I'd say on Monday, that's a no spend day.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go out and buy coffee, or I'm not going to order Uber Eats. Instead, I'm going to make myself coffee at home or a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And then cook
Yeah.
during the day. Because one thing is like, you don't realize how many micro expenses you actually
Oh,
make.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what you'll find when you do your audit.
Yeah.
You're going to be like,
looking through your transactions.
I spent like $30 on coffee this week.
Yeah.
Like,
Remember when you first saw that live coach and she said something about looking at your credit card?
Yeah, that
like
was
bank statements, and that would tell you a lot about your life.
super eye-opening. It's
Yeah.
not even about your life. She's like, this is who you are.
Ooh.
So it really hit to the core
Yeah.
when you actually look at all of your expenses and don't do one credit card.
Yeah.
If you've got multiple, look at all of them. Look at like every disposable, where your disposable income, where your spend account is, look at all of them, because a lot of people have multiple depending on what they're spending on. And then just compare them. And literally what she said was, this is who you are. And that resonated with me in the sense that I know I love shopping. I have to cut a lot of things. I buy a lot of unnecessary items, gadgets that I don't need, little choppers, little things that I want all the time. And she's like, review them all and kind of categorize them into your budgeting categories. Do I want? Do I need?
Yeah.
Or do I need to invest to buy?
Yeah.
So they're the three things that I look at now
Yeah.
in terms of what I want, what I need, and then also culling things.
Yeah.
Multiple subscriptions to different series and TV platforms. Some people have got Binge, Stan, Netflix, and the like. Like, do you need all three?
Or can you share with
and
friends?
share and perhaps share?
Yeah.
So I think on KP's point is the other thing around no spend days is maybe try increasing how many days rather than just one.
Yeah.
Maybe make it 2 or 3 or whatever it is.
You know what? It's almost like a psychological game you play with yourself,
Yeah.
because then when you actually go and have that meal out, or when you
It's a
order
positive
that
reinforcement.
Uber Eats, it's actually a treat meal.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh my gosh, I get to go somewhere for dinner today. Like, I am definitely gonna get this. It becomes like that.
Yeah, and also I guess tying in some concepts from like Atomic Habits. I know we talk about this book a lot, but I think there's just really like handy tips that you can use from there. So like for me, like I love shopping for clothes. That's just my Achilles heel. I don't know what to do. Well, I'm trying to be more conscious about what I buy, but I think you can be conscious about your consumption in a lot of areas in life. And like if I can go through the month and stay under budget in terms of what I spend, then I can put some money aside towards my splurge expenses, and then that will accumulate for me to then buy one of those forever items that are essential, but also like from a very good brand and great quality. So similar to that idea of taking yourself out to a treat meal, if you've reached your goal for the month and you're not overspending, then you can have a little bit of money for fun.
Absolutely. And like you look at Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg, and they wear the same t-shirt.
I know, but
5
I'm
days
not
a
them.
week.
I'm not a genius, okay? And I think it's just like what you love in life. Like I think it's just something that I have to come to acceptance that I do love, clothing and fashion and things like that. But I'm a lot more conscious now because you can be on Instagram and you can scroll, and all the advertising you're getting targeted with can actually really trigger you. But once like back to the point of like vision boarding and finding your style and having consciousness around your life, like even if now I get targeted with like advertising, but I know that that's not the style that I'm going after, or it's not something that is fitting into my live vision, then I would just say no thank you.
Do I want it? Do I need it? Or is it something I want to invest in?
Exactly.
If it's a no, it makes it easy for you to just make that clear cut.
Yeah, and then the first time that I see an item and I've got that impulse to buy, I'll just like say no. There will always be a sale on it, or if like after half a year I'm still thinking about it, it's probably a sign
that you want it.
That I should invest in it and I should save up for it.
It goes into the investment category.
Cool. Lots of food for thought, hopefully, for our listeners. Again, these are by no means financial advice from us. We're still trying to figure out our own sort of like financing, budgeting and saving plans. But hopefully it sparks some ideas for you to start your own journey as well, and for us to all get through this sort of financial climate together. But if you love the episode, make sure that you subscribe, leave us a comment, share with a friend, maybe get together and listen over a cup of tea or a wine, whatever
Take
you
yourself out on a
fancy.
date.
Yeah, and send some photos of you guys on financial day, either with yourself, your friends, or your partner, and we would love to see that. And you've been listening to
Let's take it offline.